You did it! You were one of the thousands who took up the challenge of raiding Area 51, insisting that the government show us them aliens. Your Naruto running skills proved to be too much for the security forces stationed there, and you managed to make your way inside the top-secret facility. Deep in an underground bunker, past all sorts of physical and electronic security measures, you found him. Or her. To be honest, you're not really sure. A real, live alien. Now what? The public has been claiming that the US government knows about the existence of aliens for decades. With the 1947 Roswell crash and subsequent admission by the US Air Force officer to the discovery of a flying disc, igniting a firestorm of controversy and conspiracy theories. On multiple occasions, the government has put forth several explanations for the Roswell crash, but the fact that the secrecy of the real object involved in the crash forced the government to constantly tweak false explanations before releasing the real one did not help matters at all. An extrapolation of the official explanations gives us this account of the truth behind Roswell. On June 14, 1947, William Brazel, a foreman working on the Foster homestead, noticed several clusters of debris about 30 miles north of Roswell, New Mexico. The debris was initially described by Brazel as a large area of bright wreckage made up of rubber strips, tinfoil, and rather tough paper and sticks. Initially, Brazel paid little attention to the debris until he heard stories about flying discs. This piqued his interest, and Brazel wondered if he had discovered the wreckage of a flying disc himself. After contacting the U.S. military about the debris, Public Information Officer Walter Haut put out a press release stating that the military had recovered a flying disc, a fact that has been largely misconstrued as an admission of a UFO, when in fact Haut was merely describing a disc-like object that very clearly hung below a balloon. This would be the balloon's kite, or an object made up of radar-reflective material which would make tracking the balloon easier. The object was then described as a weather balloon by the military, which claimed that it was merely a weather research balloon that had crashed, as these so often do at the end of their flight lives. Years later, though, the military was forced to amend that explanation, at last making the truth known. The balloon was actually part of a top-secret project known as Project Mogul, which used extremely high-altitude balloons to monitor nuclear testing by the Soviet Union by sampling or recording disturbances in the upper atmosphere. Remember, this was a time before spy planes or spy satellites, and there was simply no way to get good recon inside the Soviet Union itself. The admission that the military had initially lied, however, led many to believe that it was still lying. And now today, a sizable portion of the population believes that the US government recovered a crashed saucer and alien bodies in Roswell, New Mexico. First, you're probably going to want to worry about your immediate security and get somewhere safe. Logic says that if aliens are real and the US government is keeping their presence a secret, then it's for a pretty good reason. Perhaps we aren't ready to discover that we're not alone in the universe, or perhaps the aliens are hostile and are secretly pulling the strings and dictating humanity's fortune. More terrifyingly, maybe the alien really did crash land here on Earth and the government took it prisoner, leaving its compatriots to believe it died in the crash. Let's see what you might do in each one of these scenarios and the consequences you might run into. Maybe the government is keeping aliens a secret because internal testing has shown that we're simply not ready to accept the truth. As humans, we tend to not do very well when our worldviews are challenged in any way, shape, or form. For proof of this, just take a look at the modern anti-vaccination movement. Every credible doctor and scientist in the world says that vaccinations are safe and do not cause autism, and yet millions of first worlders routinely place their children at great risk because of the way they feel about the truth. As modern American politics has taught us, what we feel is true is more important to most people than what is actually true. And now we live in the age of alternative facts that fit your preconceived notion of reality. The discovery of advanced alien intelligence visiting our planet, though, will be a fact that will be irrefutable. Your Aunt Karen can disbelieve that vaccines are safe because she lives in a comfortable, safe first world bubble where measles and other horrible diseases probably can't get to her thanks to the millions of us who agree with science. The consequences of her terrible choices will never be real to her, so she'll never have to confront the false reality she lives in. However, an alien presence will be in our face in a rather big way, and the sudden reveal of advanced superintelligent aliens whizzing through our skies as they please will be impossible to explain away, especially if they decide they want to start moving in next door. Such a dramatic shift in the perceived reality of billions of humans, a reality where we're not alone in the universe, could be too much to bear. Big questions such as what is our place in the universe, what do these aliens want with us, and how will they judge us for the things we do to our environment and each other could all prompt a very real panic. Needless to say, it would be a lot more comfortable to live inside our bubble, where we're alone in the universe. And if aliens exist, then they're safely far away from planet Earth on another star system entirely, where they can remain an idea and not a reality that affects our daily lives. The conclusions to what might happen in Scenario 1 dovetail nicely into the reality of Scenario 2. What if aliens are here and they rule over us, dictating the fate of the human race? In this case, then the worst fears many conspiracy theorists have held for decades have finally come true. We're nothing more than puppets, and beings infinitely more powerful than us are actually in charge of our society and planet. In the movies, the big reveal that aliens secretly rule the Earth typically leads to a plunky resistance movement that bravely fights against all odds to free humanity. In the real world, this would remain nothing more than fantasy. A species intelligent enough to cross the galaxy to get us, and then to be able to move enough personnel and hardware here from their planet to keep us under their grip, is a species that frankly is too far advanced for us to ever rise up against. Consider that it takes humanity somewhere on the order of $2,000 to $3,000 to put a single pound of material into orbit. That means that putting a 60-ton Abrams tank into orbit would cost us about $300 million. Of course, that's only to put it into orbit. Now you need to actually fly that across the galaxy. And of course, you'll need more than one Abrams tank to dominate an entire planet. The point we're hoping being made clear here is that if aliens can afford to move so much hardware across the galaxy to threaten our species, then they are hopelessly more advanced than we are. Maybe, though, we could simply learn from them or secretly develop our own advanced technologies, XCOM style. Well, sure, the government could probably secretly run labs somewhere hidden even from alien prying eyes and covertly acquire some technology from the aliens, then reverse engineer it in order to boost our own tech. But consider the explosion in technology our own species underwent during the information age, and then consider how slowly technology moved before it. Between 1980 and 2019, the average computer increased from a storage capacity of 10 megabytes to several gigabytes, an incredible explosion in capability and technological development. Yet for thousands of years before that, our best computer was the Abacus, and that had pretty much a single version for its entire lifetime. I guess what we're saying is that aliens would be so far ahead of us technologically that our own pace of development, even helped along by secretly stealing bits of their tech, would be like a snail going up against the space shuttle in the 100-meter dash. As the Borg famously said, resistance really is futile. What about the third scenario, though? What if the alien you discovered in Area 51 was secretly being held there against its will by the US government? What if the government was running all sorts of tests on it, perhaps pressing it for information on its alien technology, while keeping his or her existence a secret so that its alien buddies thought it had died in the original crash? Well, for our own humanity's sake, we hope that's not true, because it would be a terrible thing to do to another living being, and we really like to think we've evolved past that type of behavior. But for the rest of humanity's sake, then we really hope that if that is true, then you very promptly return that alien to where you found it, or at the very least keep it away from a phone or a working radio. If an advanced alien species was secretly visiting the Earth and one of those craft crashed here, well, it would stand to reason that the other members of its species would send in search and rescue parties. After all, we do the same whenever one of our own goes missing. In fact, we're unique amongst every animal alive on Earth today in that we will gladly endanger and even sacrifice dozens of other people just to rescue a single individual. Just consider the massive response that follows any announcement of hikers going missing or mountain climbers stuck on a mountain somewhere. For all of our faults, humanity can be noble to the point of getting ourselves killed over it when we feel like it. Aliens will likely be very, well, alien to us, but there's no reason to think they also wouldn't value the lives of their own people as much as we do ours when they go missing. Now consider what might happen if these very advanced aliens were to discover that their dear brother or sister had crash-landed on our backwards little planet, and us stupid apes held him or her hostage for decades, trying to get the secrets of advanced technology out of him or her. Holding a member of an alien species against their will would probably be tantamount to humanity signing its own suicide letter, and we could expect a pretty harsh response from a civilization capable of wiping us out with but a thought. Perhaps we were nothing more than a scientific curiosity, being studied the way we study animals in the wild. But this one act proved our savage nature, and now we're going to suffer the consequences for our own greed. And it's all your fault. So maybe do us a favor and keep your alien away from any methods of communication so it can't tell its people the horrible things we've been doing to it. Or better yet, just give it back to the government, because we really don't want to go extinct. What would you do if you discovered a real live alien? Think the government is really hiding aliens in Area 51? Let us know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, check out our video why raiding Area 51 would be a bad idea. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more great content.